Hello, hello, and welcome to the EK show. I'm looking for a few people to join me as we discuss the Black Panther and Wakanda. You see, I'm all geared up and ready for Wakanda. So I hope you're going to join me because it's going to be a most interesting discussion. I know that many of you are out there. It's a bit cold and maybe getting home was difficult, but you have got to join this conversation. Hey, Molly, thank you for being there. Now, you just wait right there because there are more people coming. It's cold out there, but you see, it's going to be hot, hot, hot in here when the conversation gets going, because I have an incredible guy joining me, and that is Akin Savage. I'm just hoping that he's going to see this very soon and tag on so that I can put him online to have this very heated discussion that we're going to have today. Hello there. Where are you, Akin? I'm waiting for you to click that button so that we can get talking and we can get everybody on board. Hi, Molly. It's cold, isn't it? Fumi, welcome. Akin, I'm looking for Akin too. Maybe you just call him and remind him he's supposed to be here. I don't know whether he's tried to get hold of me and he hasn't got on, but he needs to be right here because it's all about what he is going to tell us today. He is our main man in the house, and we're going to have a fun time. I'm going to spend a few moments tagging a few people, so I implore you all to please tag away. Invite everybody and anybody to this because this is going to be a most interesting conversation. I usually do my 9:30 shows in the on Sunday evenings, but this one is a different one, slightly different, and I'm sure that you are all going to be enlightened by the end of it. That you're going to see a totally different perspective on a wonderful film that I saw last week, I think. I just had to see it, and I went out there to go and watch this film, and I tell you, I am very, very enthralled by it. So, Akin, where are you? Come on board. I'm inviting people while I'm waiting for you to join me. So please come on board. Participate in this conversation. It's going to be very insightful and illuminating. And I know that you're just going to enjoy it and receive a lot from it. At least, if nothing else, you're going to get a different perspective so that when you actually go out there to watch the film, you will see it with a totally different eye. Hey, good to see you, Ake. I'm just adding him on. I hope that works. We had hoped to have set this up just before you all joined us. But hey, Aki, how you doing?
Very well. How are you? I can hear
I'm
you
very
loud
well,
and clear.
and I can hear you. Good. I was just telling everybody that I was waiting for you because we're going to have a most insightful conversation today. I'm taking a few minutes just to welcome everybody on board. Could you spend some time sharing this out to all your friends? This is going to be a great conversation.
Yes,
I'm already,
absolutely.
please. This is not just for you, Akin. This is for Wakanda, and it's amazing.
Wakanda
We women.
forever.
Absolutely. This gear I'm wearing, you think I just went out and bought it, didn't you? Just for today. But hey, this has been in my wardrobe. You know how we women, we buy a lot of things? It's been sitting in my wardrobe. And I was thinking, what am I going to do today? So I thought, a bit of African material here.
I think it's great.
Bow to it.
I think it's great that you made the effort. And what do you think of what do you think about my Wakanda scarf?
I'm impressed, but I have to be careful how I say things to you, before people get the wrong idea. That's mine.
Don't worry about any of that.
The other thing I have to say is I have a very slight cold here, and so if you find me going into my 0800 voice, which is for my EK on the couch, Please excuse me. It's not intentional right now. But
No problem.
I hope that you're hearing me clearly. I want people who
I
are
can.
on board to actually share. I think if you know how, Akin, you can also share and continue to share a few while you're waiting there. And you can do
Sure.
this by clicking on, there's an image of a man with an arrow. If you press on that,
Now,
then you can
now
actually
I'm
invite more of your friends on board. Because I just want to get a few
okay.
more people while I do my housekeeping a
I
little bit before we actually
I
keep
see a
going. But we will
share. I
start.
see a share. I see a share button. That's all I see.
If you see that, then go ahead, do it that way too. That's
Okay,
good
so
too.
I did.
All right.
I've
So
done
while
that.
you're doing that, share to a few more people. I would invite everybody else to also share to a few more people. It's going to be an insightful day. Let me just take a moment to say my name is EK for those of you who are joining me for the first time. I normally have a show at 9 o'clock on Sundays, and I'd like you to get into the habit of joining me for that. We talk about human interest issues and get to the heart of the matter. I also do occasionally an EK Sunday brunch in which I invite somebody to come and cook for me, so that I'll enjoy it for you. And then we talk about things. So you come and join me, and very, very soon, with the encouragement of my dear friend here, I am going to do EK's Couch. Now, EK's Couch is going to be much later in the
Beautiful.
evening, say around, sorry? You
We're
said?
gonna launch that. It's gonna be beautiful. It's
Thank
gonna be
you.
beautiful.
It's going to be EK's Couch, which is going to be at 10:30. I'm not sure. I'm thinking Thursday evening or maybe Friday evening. Maybe by the end of this, you guys are going to tell me which day you would like to hear about EK's Couch. Okay.
Friday
And
sounds
this
like
will
a
be
good
taking
idea.
and this is taking particular matters of the heart and talking them through. So it's a kind of relationship type thing. It could be something more, but I'm always here to do what you guys really want to hear about, and that's what it's about. So I want to just say hello to Constance, Florence, Ardley, Paul Graham. Thank you so much, Graham. Nice. Exactly. It's the Wakanda spirit in me. It's always been there, but it's taken this film to bring it out. Tony, welcome on board. Joseph, as always. Oh, I know. I owe you. I'm coming. Blessing, Wayne, Belinda, Paul, Sophie, darling. Hello. Atai, welcome. That's a new one. Hi. Please stay with us. You're going to have fun. Caroline, my darling, as always. Aloyami, thank you. Alayomi, thank you so much. For me, Molly, excellent. We are on board. Now, all I can say is, have you seen it? What am I talking about? The Black Panther film. Have you seen it? And I'm not talking about the men in there, apart from I could do, but have you seen it? Incredible film. That's what we're talking about tonight, but we're going deeper. We're going to be talking about the ramifications of such a film. You might say to yourself, it's just a film, science fiction. Hey, what? Black people in it. Hey, what? A black cast, black crew. Hey, what is it in Africa? And so. Black futurism, Afrofuturism. So, but there is more. There is more, isn't there? And my guest, who is going to be with me today, and I'm so glad to introduce him, Akin Savage. Now, there's one word. We had to pick a word to describe this man, and for me, it can only be a visionary. To me, that means, and I've been talking to Akin for a few days now as we were preparing for this interview, and yes, visionary is the word that encapsulates who and what he is. But I want to add more because I've got to break this word down just a little bit more, just in the same way as we're going to break down this film. And it is inspired. He's imaginative. He's perceptive, intuitive, very discerning. And he has penetrated into this film in such a way, in a gifted way. I give you Akin Welcome to the show. I know you've been sitting there waiting for me as I just set up, but I think we're ready to go now. And I know we have a very short time and you have so much to say. So I am going
Thank you very much.
To lift off
Thank
this
you
by
very
saying
much.
to you, you're welcome, you're welcome. I'm going to lift off this by saying to you, you saw the film. You sat there for 2 hours and you watched it.
Absolutely.
When you came out of the film, what went through your mind?
I think there hasn't been an event, a cinematographic event, that has excited me has. I was elevated to another plane of perception by this film. It caused a permanent chill to flow up and down my spinal cord throughout the duration of the 2 hours. Very, very exciting. Very exciting indeed. Lots
Excellent.
of euphoria coming forth from me.
Excellent, because I have to say I felt much the same way. Now, we are going to try through the discussion of this film not to give any spoilers. The intention is really to talk around and within it. It's going to be tough, but we'll try. We won't talk about anything that you cannot already see on the net, yeah? So we'll do it that way, then we're kind of safe. So anything that we do talk about that's within the film, if you go to the internet, you would have already seen it. Yeah? And then we'll leave the rest, because although you can see a lot on the internet, the connections are until you see the whole film. But what we hope to leave you with is that by the time we've had this discussion, you will never look at that film or any other film in the same way, because it's almost like an appreciation of the art of film watching. I believe that's what's going to happen tonight. So if I move on and I say, okay, there was a shift, a major shift, because I know that you've seen other Marvel films, but why does this one stand out for you?
Well, in essence, I think, without sounding biased, I love my people. I love people of color. I love being a person of color. And I am very concerned with the collective condition of the Black psyche. So anything that affects it, especially for good, I am extremely receptive to that. And that's what this film has done. This film has collectively affected the Black psyche, rather like Obama becoming president affected the Black psyche worldwide. Yes.
Come on, this was not a reality film. You know, Obama was real. This was a film. How do you connect the two things in that way? What makes it such?
Very, very easy to connect. It's all about the way the film or anything that happens to you makes you feel. You know, even if a thing is considered to be a myth, even if a thing is considered to be fantasy, if it makes you feel good, then it is real. Because that feeling you feel is real.
Okay, so we're getting to the point that we can say that it had some sort of impact on you then.
Yes, it has a psychological impact on me. It had a spiritual impact on me. It filled me with hope for the future because of the imagery in the film. I also realized that various different things that the film did are real. First and foremost, nearly $1 billion in the box office. That is real. That's money in the bank. What does that say? It says black equals to profit.
No. Let me tell you what somebody said when they saw that. They said, hey, it wasn't all black people, that particular one. I mean, there was a lot of Chinese and other countries that went to see it because, I mean, I guess it was international. So it's not just black, you know, so answer
no, it's
to
not
that.
Just
so
black. It's not just black, but you know what? It was because one of the key reasons why it was so successful was because of the black cast. So essentially, it was triggered by menolin, that precious substance that is in all of our skins here. It was triggered, which shows you that menolin equals to currency, as one of my good friends, Mr. Kofi Allen, would say. That's very exciting.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of people that are here that are agreeing with you. Somebody's saying that, Athena is saying that our kids got to see black heroes, and that's something. Arinola says, I'm sure that they are better. Oh, well, I'm going to come to that comment later, but she says, I'm sure that they have better signal precision in Wakanda Palace, Seth. Oh, okay. I don't know what she's saying at the moment. Paul Graham says the movie is a deep reflection of African culture. Okay, so let's now begin to move into the discussion of the impact, because you've expressed the impact that it's had on you. Do you think that that's going to be the same to everyone else, and how? What are we going to do with this?
Now, the impact on this film, not every single person of color will feel what I felt. That's just a reality. I think it's got a lot to do with how perceptive you are, or how concerned you are, or how connected you are in any way, shape, or form. Now, I would say that we as human beings, we have what I call receptors. Some of our receptors are fully functional. Some of our receptors are applied in different ways. So if you have other things on your mind, there's a likelihood that you won't be affected by this film. If you're distracted, there's a likelihood you won't be affected by this film. But thank you, you described me as a visionary. And one of the things that we visionaries have to do, if I am a visionary, is to have visions. And this is what it's done. It's caused me to look at things and look beyond just the normal consequences into the deeper ramifications of the film. The other thing that I am fully aware of is, you see, there's something I call the collective black psyche. You see,
more or less the collective black consciousness has been awoken by this film.
Yes, the collective black consciousness has been awoken, has been affected by this film. Rather like, as I said earlier on, Obama, I wouldn't say Obama did that much for black people worldwide. Okay? He certainly didn't visit my country, Nigeria, but I'm not mad at him. Okay? But one thing he did do was he convinced every black person, okay, that what was classified as impossible is now possible. A black man in the White House. That had that gave the collective black psyche a tremendous boost. And when your psyche is boosted that way, it also releases other possibilities. You know, it's one thing that I constantly go on about, and by now a lot of people would think I sound like a broken record. But I say you have to have a boost in your self-esteem. If your self-esteem is low...
Go ahead. I was going to say that the awakening of the black consciousness, do you think that this film is really going to do that? Because, I mean, we keep talking about the fact that the black people have a lot of power, which is like they're either not admitting to, or they don't know how to use, or they haven't understood that they even have it. So do you think this film has got the power and energy to re-engineer that? I mean, that's saying a lot, don't you think?
No, it is saying a lot. But, you know, psychologists say that you can totally re-engineer your thinking in 30 days through positive affirmations. So that means that if I stand in the mirror for 30 days consistently, utilizing an hour a day of those 30 days, and I say that I am somebody, I am able to do a particular thing, according to psychologists, that is enough to transform and re-engineer my thinking. In essence, what computer people would call reprogramming. And this is what this film is doing. It's helping to reprogram negativity and turn it into positivity. And it's doing on so many different levels.
Tell me how. Tell me some of those levels.
Okay.
We know because of time, let's run through them and then just pick one or two and really go for it on those.
Okay. I think one of the first things I'd like to point out, which for me is fundamental, and that is the effect it's having on our children.
Yes.
The transformational effect it's having on young Black lives. You know, sometimes I can weep for young Black lives when I turn on the TV and all I see, the Black imagery associated with us, or the imagery associated with us, is thuggery. It is theft. It is white policemen shooting us down in the streets. Now, that will have a profound effect on a young Black life. Now, in turn, when they're now seeing Black women powerful, Black men powerful, they're seeing images of kings, they're seeing images of warriors, they're seeing images of scientists. That is transformational on the young Black life. Another fundamental effect or ramification is it has now started to evoke conversations.
Yes, like
what
this
conversations? Like this conversation, exactly. Conversations between our brothers and sisters in America, okay? One writer described this film as a love letter to Africa. Love letter to Africa. Now, I am hoping that Africa will realize that this is a love letter to them, to us.
Yes.
So that's one other level.
I think, yes, I mean, just picking up on that point, it's like even more than a love letter, because strangely enough, that love letter was written by two Jewish men, because the words are theirs, built into the Marvel, but the interpretation is Black based, more or less, and it is that interpretation. Let me just be contentious here, please.
No, go ahead, finish.
No, you can pick up on the point of what I've said, because I'm reinterpreting that love letter, because where did the words come from?
See, it wasn't there was a general structure that's been put in place by Marvel, by the likes of the Stan Lee, okay, who was one of the major developers of actual Black Panther, but the interpretation was given by a gentleman by the name of Ryan Coogler, okay. In addition to that, also it was co-written by Cole. And of course, a very, very influential director called Nate Moore, who has been pushing for Black representation in Marvel for quite a while. So right here, I would say Ryan is the person who wrote the love letter. When you consider what this young man has done, he's 31 years old. He's been given a budget of $200 million, and he was confined in various different ways, because it had to be commercially successful. It had to be palatable to all audiences. But in amidst that, he was able to construct a love letter and code it, multiple coding, sending out a lot of various different messages to people of color.
Again. Yeah. Okay,
that's a powerful
let's pick
thing.
one of those. Let's pick up some of that coding, which is part of that impact that we're talking about. Go ahead.
Well, without spoiler alerts, for me, I think the so-called villain, let's call him the antagonist, okay, who was played by Michael B. Johnson, a gentleman by the name of Killmonger. That's not a spoiler alert, okay. No, there was a serious level of coding in that man's character. I won't go into the details. The people who have seen it have seen it. But in essence, what that man represented was a lost child that wanted to come back home to Africa. And that is the collective psyche going on
In effect,
amongst our
back
brothers.
to the fatherland rather than even the motherland in that respect. And
Why
that's
would you call
just
it the
adding.
fatherland? Africa is a woman.
Africa is a
Africa is a
woman,
woman.
yes.
Yes.
But I'm being quizzical when I say fatherland, because in a sense that was what he was looking for, because of what he may have
Okay. His
lost.
fatherland. Yeah,
And
his
also
fatherland because yeah.
because of the, what the relationships between children and their fathers, which comes out in that, and that's all also part of that coding as well, I would have thought, within his character.
Yes. Absolutely. You see, what Ryan skillfully did was that he took one character, and inside this character, he made him a little bit complex, but he successfully wrote the code on various different levels. One, the need for our brothers, their needs to return back to their roots. Two, he also expressed the conflict that was going on in this man's life. And without going into any spoiler alerts, he progressed this, projected it, turned it upside down, and presented it as a gift to Africa. That's profound. Truly profound.
Right. I mean, it was quite interesting that the even in the when we're talking about the various coding, was the multifaceted use of the diversity of the Black person, in that he used almost every nation in Africa was represented, either in the traditional wear, and it almost seems conflicting that in a scientific or futuristic film we would still be wearing native wear, because in the futuristic wear of, say, first world film, they've all changed their clothes and becomes a much more streamlined. But I loved the fact, and even the most amusing way they used some of the clothing without any spoiler alerts. I had to laugh, because it was just so imaginative. That you've just got to see, even for that usage alone, it just made me laugh, because in there's so much humor.
No, but definitely.
And the use as well of not just, when I say the total use of the Black person, they also used the Caribbean side of things and everything. And I know that when we were talking about this, you were talking about a larger conversation that needs to take place. Do you want to go into that?
Yes, I would like to touch on various different levels of that conversation. Now, this film was put in place in order to, as I said earlier on, to evoke conversations on various different levels. Now, rightfully so, there is a lot of hurt here. And when I say hurt, I'm talking about not just the African American community, but I'm talking about the wider diaspora. I'm talking about Jamaicans. I'm talking about Trinidadians. I'm talking about Cubans. I'm talking about Brazilians. I'm talking about people from Haiti. Okay, people who feel, okay, that they were let down in some way, shape, or form on different levels. Now, what this has done is it has created a platform that I hope our leaders in Africa will see. I don't mean to sound negative, but there's only one leader currently in Africa that I feel would jump on this and help turn it into the reality it should become. And I won't mention that leader's name right now, so it doesn't sound like it's a political campaign.
I would probably agree with you without even knowing the leader's name, because I'm not sure that everybody would get totally excited by this film, because the responsibility that arises from the film is amazing. and not everybody is willing. I mean, most people are, in Africa, the most leaders are not willing to take on the day-to-day responsibilities of the
No,
current
precisely it.
situation, let alone take on something that means actually moving the whole Black race together, you know,
Yes.
or preparing a place that becomes much more palatable. Now, if I look at some of the comments, Jide says Black Panther is the best film that is a reawakening of the Black people. Bob Marley said emancipation is key in our liberation, and he agrees positively with the image that the film is doing or creating. Fina says definitely to the comments that you have made, and Eugenia says that she works in a school with students, and most of them are talking about Black Panther. And Fumi says, First World, what's that? This is only one world, none. And I'm not quite sure on that, but and Arinola says a friend says that one Africa currency is the way forward. I think that it's multifaceted in actual fact, but you know the way that people are talking is towards that, you know, that unification in a sense where
Absolutely.
you're unifying
Absolutely.
Africa. Take
No,
that on.
absolutely. Absolutely. And just to interject there, without spoiler alerts, there are certain things that you and I and other people who watched the film have been embedded in the film. It's a subliminal messaging which implies Pan-Africanism. You touched on a few of those things. The colors they use, Pan-African flag,
Yes.
okay? The
Yeah, the green,
language
black,
they
and red.
use, the symbol,
Yes.
yes, the symbolisms they use. I mean, these guys went to research languages that were nearly lost.
Yes. I mean,
You and I
I'm so
shared
proud to
this.
say, yes, that they used a particular one that comes from my part of Nigeria, the Nsibidi
Yes,
peoples. And that's a lost language. I don't think there's anyone that's kind of speaking that or using that now, but that kind of intensity of research is just amazing.
absolutely. As I said before, this film is a love letter to Africa. This is
Yes.
the ultimate overriding code is Africa, we love you, but we want to be a part of you. And this is the word that's gone out. As I said, it's not just our American brothers, it's our Jamaican brothers, our brothers from Haiti, our brothers from even Mexico. There are Black people in Mexico that hardly anyone knows about. There are people
Mm.
all around the world. And what this
Yeah.
word has gone, what this has done is it's a call, it's a clarion call to reunite. That's what it
Yes.
is. But talking about some of the other ramifications, and you talked on relationships. This is also designed to provoke relationship between the Black male and the Black female. The
Yes, there was a
roles, the
lot of
strong roles.
interaction. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. In this film, the Black man and the Black woman were working as one person. That's powerful.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
profound.
Yes.
You know, the men were
Yes.
not threatened by the power of the women. Okay. They worked in unison. Okay. And one of the things that's been largely attacked in our community is there's been a wedge in the past that's been driven between the Black man and the Black woman. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
In fact,
now,
I
now,
put on my all earlier on the fact of the statistics that tends to say that there are fewer that the relationships between the Black man and his children are so disparate and really non-existent. And of course, those figures are totally wrong. So it's like we've really got to look at ourselves again and see how we are actually being depicted in the media. And taking that on board, Clive Kofi Allen says, this film further illustrates the power of the media and the arts, which I hope will further motivate the future development of our creative industries. And he adds, I see the Black Panther film also as a real life glimpse into the matrix in symbolism and representation. Do you want to take that up and,
absolutely.
you know,
No,
pull that out
absolutely.
more?
Absolutely. Absolutely. First and foremost, as I said earlier on, uh, what people don't understand is that films are often used to program people. They're often used to program people. Now, the most subtle and effective form of programming could happen when you're laughing out loud. You're not even aware of the fact that you are being influenced in one shape or form. But despite the fact that the media, as a Kofi said, is used and is important, the way I look at films is I look at films and I look at the media influence. I look at it rather like eating a plate of chicken. I eat the flesh and I throw away the bones. Well, let me rephrase that. We Nigerians seldom throw away the bones when we're eating chicken. But you understand what I'm saying, okay? So it is crucial. And then the other point that Kofi raised about the Black Panther film being as real life gift of the matrix and symbolisms and representations. So an element of film that people aren't aware of is the power of symbolisms.
Yes.
The power of symbolism.
In the taking the analogy that you just gave, where you're talking about, eating the skin and then the meat part of it. Chewing the bone is not something we do it figuratively in terms of eating, but can we chew the bone in terms of talking about the things that you are representing here? Like, I mean, Clive is talking about the matrix. That's another level of thinking. And this symbolism that you're talking about, that's going deep now. Most people have already left this conversation at that point saying had nothing to do with them or where are these people going. So tell us some more about that. What are you actually, invoking? We've just been joined by Eze. Eze, this should be up your street. I hope you're going to stay on. Michaeline, thank you for coming on board. Anna, welcome. Ian, welcome. Clive, I welcome you, although I've already been reading out some things that you've been saying. Cade Adams, thank you for joining us. Mark Anthony, you are welcome. Anita, Fina, Mark Anthony, and Tony Lewis, new people. And Jeff, thanks for being there. Tejumi, Ibrahim, thank you. Jide, you are always welcome. Winifred, thank you for being there. Please, just go on with that question. We're talking about eating the bone. How do we get our people to understand the necessity to go this far? I mean, we're talking about this film and people have probably left the conversation saying, where are these people going now? Where are they going? They don't even, it's only a film. Come on.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is, and I don't mean to be dismissive, I love my people, but I've come to realize that we are on different planes of realization and existence sometimes. Now, in order for there to be an effective shift in our community, it doesn't take everyone. Not everybody needs to come on board. All it takes is a selected few. There was a story in the Bible about a great victory that was fought. It was led by a man called Gideon. Now, there are a lot of troops who volunteered to fight for Israel, but Gideon intentionally only selected 300. Now, there are a lot of people out there, I know, I have conversations with them regularly, who understand exactly what we're saying. And there are some people, of course, it might seem like it's going over their heads. But the reality is there is more to life than we can hear, touch, see, and smell. I'll give you an example of this. There's a scripture in Bible which says that my word, which goes forth from my mouth, will achieve everything it was sent to do. It shall not return to me void, but achieve that which I desire to do. Now, a lot of people feel that that only purely is applicable to God. It's not. It's applicable to everybody. What we say is what happens. We can recreate our lives by virtue of the words that we speak. We can recreate our lives by virtue of the thoughts that we think. These are some of the deeper levels of the matrix. I mean, what does the word matrix mean? The word matrix simply means womb. Womb. That's what it means. And if you look at sci-fi movies, they talk about the Stargate, the entrance point from one dimension to another dimension. That is the female womb. That's what they're talking about. That is the
In fact, when
only
I think
entrance
about it,
point.
yeah, the entrance
Go
into
ahead.
the Wakanda was in a similar way. It was like entering into a womb. So you're right. Go ahead. I'm just,
Yes.
there's so
So
many.
absolutely, absolutely. Now you see the one. You see what another thing that a lot of people do not realize. Okay, and that is it is now a well-known fact that we as a people are fundamentally important to this planet.
Oh,
Over
absolutely.
a period, over the next period of years, months, years, you're going to start to see people throwing money at the black community. Why? Because the stars are aligned. It's not a mistake that quite a few African governments are changing hands. It wasn't a
Yes.
mistake that Obama became president. This
Yes.
film wasn't a mistake. There is a shift, okay? Let he who hears, let him hear. That's all I will
Yes.
say, okay? There has been a shift, and if you jump on it, it will become your reality. If you don't, it won't be your reality. I
Yes.
decide to jump on it, and all over it, so that it can become a reality, because I hope and know that I am spiritually attuned with what is going on. So this film is
Yes.
just going to be a series of various different events that will just justify this conversation that we're having.
Yes. Yes. In fact,
Yes,
it's just like the open gambit. It's like if you say that. In fact, it's been building. Obama was a major breakthrough as part of
of
a
course,
dream. I have a dream type thing.
of
So, and
course,
then this year, the leaders tumbling. Then you have this film coming out, which within it encapsulates a lot of that and shows Africa rising or risen to now take up its own place and mantle.
absolutely.
What's it now? Prince has joined us. Eze, welcome, and he quotes Isaiah 55. He says we have a serious um, way forward with ECOWAS. A few committed people will do it, and we are battle ready. Just stay with us.
Absolutely.
PJ says, keep on talking, sir. He's impressed with what you're saying. Um, Abimbola says, oh, yes. Uh, Arinola is on board as well. And Oni Rode says, hi, hi. I'm just seeing if anybody else. Sammy, thank you for joining us. Lulu, thank you for coming on board. And Paul Graham says, kudos to the amazing Black actors and actresses who flawlessly interpreted the various parts in the movie and helped make the movie a success. Absolutely. Okay,
Yes.
moving on. You mentioned just a few moments ago about not needing everybody on board. And just
Hmm.
like Gideon, he selected 300. So I had
Yeah.
asked, where are our Black Panthers?
Right
And
here.
what's symbolic about being a Black Panther? What does it take to be a Black Panther and come on board?
Yes. Now, I just read Ian's comment. He said this conversation is too deep for him. My response
Ah!
to you, Ian, my response to you, Ian, you're deeper than you think, my friend. You're deeper than you think.
He,
Now, with regards to
don't mind Ian. Let me
Ian,
say that
Ian,
straight away.
Ian.
Don't mind Ian. He understands
No,
very,
no,
very well. Too
we,
well,
we,
then.
we need we need we need Ian on board because he's a master of music, and we need the right
Yes,
vibrations here on board.
you
We need music, we
go.
need dance on board. So
Wakanda
Ian,
forever.
work with me. Ian, work with me, bro. Work with me. We need you on board, sir. Now, back to the question with regards to how many people. That was what you asked, and why.
Well, I was saying,
Now,
what where are we going to find the Black Panthers that we need? And I mean, this is, almost the question is almost like what the not to mix with the original Black Panthers. This is we're talking about it within the context of this film. Please go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, you see, the thing is, you see, the thing is, people who feel the way that we feel are all around us. Never before on the planet have there been so many people who are spiritually aware. Never before. Never before amongst our people have there been so many people who are spiritually aware. You see, the Bible says in the book of Job, in the last days I shall pour out my spirit on all flesh. A lot of people feel that's just Christian flesh. It's not. The Bible says all flesh. So there's an awakening that's happening in every single corner of the earth, with every tribe, every tongue, every religion. There are people, there's a stirring that's occurring, okay? I, as a Christian, of course, with my belief, I know and I believe that my Savior has everything to do with it. But in real terms, this isn't a time where I argue and debate with other people concerning their beliefs. I just seek to find out what we can have and have a conversation about. So that's the reason why, as I said to you before, I walk into a halal butcher and I prophesy to the man's life. I pray with him. I'm not going to say to him, are you born again, sir, before I talk this talk? No. All I'm concerned to do is to speak into everybody's life who'll be prepared to hear. You see,
Yes.
there are certain things in life that we need to decode. One of those things is language. Why? When you put A and a B and a C and a D and you put them together, the English language, they call it spelling. Spelling. It means that you are casting a spell. The gospel means God spell, good spell. So there are certain things that are happening, in our subconscious that we may not be aware of.
Yes.
And this is the matrix. This is the thing. These are the codes and the various things that we need to start to understand what's really going on. Okay? We can transform our people simply by changing the narrative. There's so much negative narrative spoken over Nigeria, spoken over African America, spoken over Haiti, spoken over Jamaica. If we all stand together and just change the words, change it from a bad spell to a good spell, there will be a transformation. That in itself is enough, my sister.
Yes. It's
Sorry,
a
I'm getting all
start.
excited now. It's a good
Me
start.
too. I mean, it's like your information is so revelatory. I must read what Clive Kofi added. He said that if the Butterfly Effect movie can relay the significance of the wingspan of the butterfly equated to time travel, well, this movie lent its notion by ensuring that the delivery of the movie projected a big what if Africa were never colonized, and the kind of quantum science yet to be exposed. Absolutely, because that I'm so glad he put the word colony in there, colonized, because one of the things that hit me from the movie was none of us living today really knows what Africa was before it was colonized, because there's no, in effect, effective history prior to that. There are things on the ground, but we don't really know. Whereas their history tends to be written as though it is fact and it is traceable. And so, that was the I don't know if I can say it's the dream or the vision that somebody had, that if Africa had been left alone, this is where it could have been. And I think everybody needs to tap into that resonance or that thinking. Don, thank you for joining us. Ian, keep on. We're still with you. You're still with us. You don't realize it, but you know it. And Miss Vaughn just joined us. Welcome aboard. Carry on, please. We are moving on pretty well. Just a few more minutes of this left, about 10 minutes or so. Keep going.
Could I pick up very quickly? We might have to go slightly over time, as we said, but I pick up quickly with regards to what you just spoke about, with regards to Africa. What would it be like if Africa didn't become a colony to various different countries? You see, and this is another thing that's so deep about this film. You see, in real terms, Wakanda is utopia. Utopia, which means an idealistic society. Now, when transformation is due to happen to a group of people, one of the instruments that is utilized is the imageries of a utopian society. But the only, you see, because when we then reassess our ideals, you know, the other good thing about utilizing utopian symbolisms and metaphors is what you do when you lay up utopia before a people, you also expose the cacotopia. Cacotopia being the opposite of utopia. Now, a cacotopia is, the definition of cacotopia, as most people will know here, is a society that does not work, where there is no law, where there is no order, where there is no vision. Now, that sounds like a lot of countries and the existence of a lot of our people today. But when you put a utopia before them, you then enhance their mindset as to what is possible. You challenge the thinking. You actually can help revolutionize the thinking. You see, all that is required for a complete transformation in Africa is a trigger. That's all that's required. You look at the map of Africa, what does it look like? It is a gun. It is a gun, a spiritual gun. And I'm going to say this, just like Reinhard Bonnke, the evangelist, said many years ago, he said, Africa is a gun. Nigeria is the trigger.
The trigger. Absolutely. Yes. And I think that we are just teaming up or setting up to fire in a mythical way, but we are about to. I mean, within the film, that some people will ask you, do we have to overthrow the white colonists? Because in the film, this kind of resonates in there, before we can be Africa. Because, that's where, some of the misspent youth has gone in the Black minds. So I just want you to dispel that in whatever way you feel is right.
Now, you see, one of the misconceptions that have occurred in our mindset for many years is that our problem is the white man. Our problem is not the white man. You see, you give power to anything or anyone you focus on. We have given our power away because we've over-focused on the white man as being a problem. The white man, in his heart of hearts, needs to see a strong Africa. You know why? A stronger Africa is a stronger world. So there's nothing about overthrowing. The only people we need to overthrow now, okay, is ourselves. What did Michael Jackson say? Michael Jackson said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. We have to start with the man in the mirror. If we all start and focus on transforming the man in the mirror, Africa will be transformed. It's as simple as that.
I think this is a word that, if you're still with us, Ian, you will absolutely resonate with you, because you constantly say that before you will go back to Africa, there has to be change. But even as we are outside here in the diaspora, we're bringing up the new Africa in terms of our children and so on. And if we're putting the right mindsets into them, they will return and make a difference, because they will affect their generation. I mean, it took a man who, a Kenyan, in effect, who left Kenya to go to America to produce Obama. So what says that one of us from the diaspora will not go back and also change that nation? I mean, that continent as a whole. And so that's what we're really looking for. So in the sense, we're looking for our help to come from all parts of, it's almost like the Jewish, return to the homeland. So that return, do you visualize something of that sort happening?
No, absolutely. That's going to be one of the ramifications. Write it down. By virtue of this film, tourism from African Americans into Africa is going to increase by approximately 20%. Write that down and quote me on that. It's going to increase because, as I said before, this is a coded message to the motherland. We want to return. We want to reconnect. What are you doing about it? It's a challenge. Yeah. Now, of course, my concern is I'm not waiting for government to respond to that. I am going to respond to that. And others will respond to that. There's a lady called Princess Deon. She did something that was truly profound. I saw a video, and she decided to apologize to the people in the diaspora, Jamaicans, African Americans, Haiti, and she said sorry. She said sorry. She said, whatever happened between us wasn't my generation's fault, but I am taking responsibility. We have to collectively take responsibility for what happened to our brothers. We have to put things in place to ensure that our brothers are compensated. If I had power in Nigeria, yes, if I had power in Nigeria, I'd be giving out free land to people outside of Nigeria. I'd be looking to put things in place to ensure that they benefit, and I'll be putting things in place, infrastructure in place to help a return, to help facilitate a return. This is what people with vision should be doing. This is what leaders in Africa with vision should be doing.
That's real radical thought here.
It's just the way it should be. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Mark my words.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Ian says the continent will need to want change. Our leaders are too corrupt to allow positive change. We need to get rid of our governments, then we can start working towards changes. Absolutely. That's what this film, in a sense, evokes. Eze says that all the evils of the world which brought about stealing and killing violence stem from lies, which gave rise to theories that are only present in the absence of truth. Clive says that this is all about overthrowing ourselves while embracing our impeccable warrior. Absolutely, I so agree. We are the change that we are searching for. Absolutely. Miss Vaughn, thank you for joining us. Bookie, Michael, thank you for being there. Dennis, Shola Alabi, thank you. And I think that's all that's just joined us. And Maureen, thank you so much for being there. Clive, your contributions have been awesome. As a Jamaican, this conversation just put a big smile on my face. Praise God to that. And Joy Orr is also watching us. I mean, this conversation could go on and on. You know, we've actually come to practically the end of it. And I just feel that we haven't even begun to tap.
No, we haven't even scratched the surface. We haven't even scratched the surface.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what I would like to see from those of you who have been watching is whether you would be able to take another conversation like this, which takes this whole thing to another level, even deeper, because there's so many things that we haven't seen. And whether even by just listening to us, you have felt, if you haven't seen the film, you really have to see the film now so that you can actually now be able to participate more within the context of what we've been talking about. Obhazi, thank you for joining us. Clive says, you guys rock is a very great beginning, and we would like to take it on because, I mean, if you know some of the conversations that we've actually had between myself and Akin prior to now, you will not even, we haven't started. This is nothing by comparison to what we've talked about. And Clive says, please take it to the next level. For you, Clive, I have to see whether Akin would still want to come back and join me online to do this. But really, it would be so lovely if, I mean, how many of you online have actually seen the film? It would be interesting to hear. I know a few of you have because you actually spoke to me before, but if any of you haven't, I mean, I'm not gaining anything from Marvel for telling you, but please, 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 please go and see the film, because what we are saying will then be more in context and mean a lot more if you could just see it. Who is this? Somebody has just said to me that I have seen it and we need more. Thank you. You understand. Antonia Adebisi is also watching. Welcome to the show. Clive says, seen it and going back to see it. Well, I'm going to tell the truth, I have seen it, and I've seen it twice. And this is the only film on this earth that I've ever seen twice with my own money. Normally,
It's worthy. It's
normally I will
worthy.
watch it on TV. But it's absolutely worth it, because it's like when I had time to look at it, I had to go back and see more. And it's like a very fine wine. As you
Multi-layered,
taste it, you get the
multi-layered.
undertones, and it is multi-layered. And I think that it's a real educational film. Don't you agree?
Oh, it's totally,
Akin?
absolutely. It's totally very educational, you know. And you see, this is another thing I just want to quickly put it in. Now, people may not know this, but another ramification is there's going to be money pumped into Black communities for STEM. What is STEM?
Absolutely.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's going to start happening. There's going to be governments in Africa are going to be shamed into pumping money into the communities, into the youths, because they are crying out for that kind of transformation, crying out for that kind of change.
When you consider when you were saying earlier on significantly that, Africa is the shape of a gun, and Nigeria being where it is placed is where the trigger is, in actual fact.
It's the trigger.
And then you look at the percentage of the youth in Nigeria is disproportionate to the older generation, then that something is about to happen, because you cannot, the amount of people that are older cannot keep that level of or that volume of young people down. So something is about to happen.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to repeat some of your predictions here that, Nigeria is going to be the trigger, that STEM, science, technology, economics, did you say, was it? And maths?
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Engineering and mathematics are going to be the industries that are going to revolutionize Africa, and that one should keep an eye on the move of tourism, because absolutely it's going to open up interest from the rest of the world into that place. And Clive adds, there is much underestimated potential in what Nigeria has generated. We should already be aware that Africa and its diaspora is the real infrastructure for leapfrogging technology. Absolutely. And that's the benefit we have, is that we don't have to start from scratch. We just start from where they've already got to. And
absolutely.
That's an amazing...
Absolutely. You see, there's so many things. When I say the stars are aligned, I mean the stars are aligned. Now, the average African or the average non-African would say, Africa is so poor, it lacks infrastructure. The fact that Africa doesn't have infrastructure, as Kofi said, that's what makes it ideal for leapfrog technology. Leapfrog technology, like the mobile phone. The mobile phone in recent times has continuously transformed, it has tremendously and totally transformed Africa. So Africa is in that state. It's like a virgin territory where leapfrog technology and various other forms and types of technology can be introduced, and it will then take us to the stratosphere.
Actually, it's no mistake when we saw Zuckerberg in Nigeria last year, setting up or working with some of the industries there in the computer world. So there's certainly something happening. Clive continues that the stone that the builder refused shall become the head cornerstone. Clive, you're on the button. You should be on this program too. You're absolutely right, and I agree with you.
You need to get him on. The man is a master. He is a master of many things. Kofi is a master.
Thank you so much for your contributions.
He's a master. And just one more thing with regards to the head, the stone that the builder refused. You see, another thing that's happening everywhere, okay, is that you'll read stories about now they've discovered that the first individuals in Europe were Black. Okay, now, it also is something I posted on my wall a couple of days ago, where it was confirmed that all the genetic formations in the world all come from Africa. Now, what's really being said here? What's being said is that we are the foundation for the whole of humanity. You know, talk about the stone that the builders refused. that stone is a cornerstone of the foundation. Now, what am I saying here? I'm saying that for the whole world to be whole, Africa must be whole. This isn't just about me jumping up and down for my people. This is about the whole world. When Africa's strong, the whole world is strong. And this is why people in Disney, I mean, look at Disney. Disney is a $168 billion company. They sunk $200 billion. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm just pointing out that Clive said in his comment that we should also take our Nollywood more seriously as well.
That's
I mean,
correct.
I hope that Nollywood learns from this to actually look at the way in which the layering, so that, you know, because I mean, I have a little bit of a beef about Nollywood films, that they don't have enough layering to take my imagination anywhere, because it's like before they come through the door, you've worked out the rest of the film, so I can walk out without watching the rest of it. But really, what they need to add is much more intrigue, much more use of education within it. Even in their stories that are everyday type stories, more layering, not the simple, straightforward storytelling. Because, I mean, this was a simple story, really. You know, you have a protagonist, you have a, you know, what's the other word I just got out of my head now? Antagonist as well. And it's a war of good and evil to a certain extent, but it's more than that. And we need to take that to that level. So, as you say,
one of the things that a lot of people need to understand, you know, if you look at people like, if you look at some of the people who actually talk about mythology and the way that myths are structured, etc., etc. There's a very, very good book called The Hero's Journey, and we've talked about this. It talks about how a story should progress from the beginning to an end. But bottom line, I know that Hollywood be inspired, because you see, they realize now that a good film means profitability.
Yes, of course.
You know, if you put your heart and soul into it.
Yes, is that we can do it. You know, that we as an African nation can do it. Black people can make money. Black people do attract money if you do it right. I mean, so we should begin to see more films that look like us. More films that show us in a much more positive light as well, rather than being the one person in the film that's doing all the trouble and looking the reject. Antonia says, I think the Nollywood industry have improved in some areas. I have seen some fantastic ones.
There's been a lot of improvement.
Layering content. I'm glad that you're speaking up for them. You're going to have to recommend some to me, because I haven't been too impressed personally, but that's just me. Patricia, welcome to the show. Clive says, once again, it's actually educating the business investors to realize the growth factor of Nollywood and the benefits that this will have, both financially and intrinsically.
Spot on.
Absolutely.
Spot on.
So that's where, you know, you're saying that Africa is being opened up by this one film. It's kind of like the line, you know, it's like the sword that has been put down, and it's just reverberating and touching everything along the pathways. So we just have to get on and ride it, rather than just look at a film and sit back. Yeah, absolutely. So
absolutely. I realize. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your sentence.
No. Ladies first.
I've almost forgotten my point. I was trying to say we've looked at some of the impacts, but not all, as you well know from our discussions earlier on. But we've got to leave our people with something, you know, because it's like, what? Okay, and so what? Do you see what I mean, Akin? And so what?
Yes.
What do we do next? Where do we take this next? So we've had a film. It's been great, entertaining, educational. It's shown us what Africa can possibly do if it gets its act together. But you know, intelligence is not just having it, but making it effective. So how do we make this effective?
Well, in essence, it's rather like anything else. It's rather like the wisdom of our elders. You know, we have to tap into a deeper resource that lies within us, and we have to rather than just do things in a matter-of-fact way. We have to let our intuition and our inner voice lead us. But and this is the reason why you and I are having this conversation. We are being led by intuition. We have to make sure that we are the bridge by which our people can cross. We have to, in our own little way, in our own little part, as I said before, it starts with me, it starts with you, it starts with all of us individually. Some of us may have to actually write to governments. Some of us will have to maybe protest. Some of us will have to just do more shows like this. Some of us will have to apologize, okay, and seek to interact and have these conversations on a one-on-one. But beyond all of that, I'm going to say something that's going to sound strange. You know what we really need to do next? We need to arrange a big dance for all big black people to come and dance. I knew you'd laugh.
You're gonna have to explain this, because I mean that would be just so typical. You know, there's serious matters to be considered, and the man just wants to go and dance, music, shake.
Let me explain it. Let me explain it. Let me explain it. Let me explain it. The best way to settle conflict is through dance. Now, dance is a symbolism for, you see, when we have this conversation, you know what we're doing now? We're dancing. This is a dance. When there's interaction between two people, it's a dance. There are various different types of dance. The reason why I mention dance is because the dance is something that we as a people can relate to. And this is what it's about. We have to have a dance off to get rid of all these problems. But I am talking and using it as a symbolism for greater and deeper and more profound and esoteric things.
Yeah. Well, Patricia, you definitely have to listen to the to the replay of this show. It's been awesome. Clive, thank you so much for your contributions. You've been asking question upon question that we haven't even got the time to look over on this one, but you're preparing us for another show. And what he asked is, what do you do when you go from being a pond to becoming a stream of consciousness? You know something? That is an even deeper question, which although I would love to sit down and talk about right now, and I'm going to think about that, although I think I have some answers.
You know, I love, just to interject with what Clive says. Yeah. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Bible verse which says, "Out of my belly shall flow living water." That is the stream of consciousness that Clive is referring to. We are all streams of consciousness. Yes. Out of us, within us, shall flow living water. This is the living water we're talking about.
You know something? We might as well just have gone to church in this conversation, because it's like the bringing together of so many types of thinking, raw thinking, that really we read without understanding, you know. And in the Bible it constantly tells you to get, not only to get wisdom, but get understanding. So wisdom is useless if you don't understand it, because then you don't know how to utilize it. And I think that it tells me that very often we've had the word for all our lives, but we just haven't understood it. And you know, hey, I'm even becoming a preacher in 1 hour with being with you, Akin. What would you do to me if we continue like there are more questions.
Preach it. Prophetess, that's what you are. I've told you. You're a prophetess. We're all prophets. We're all prophets. Moses said, if only all my people were prophets. He was talking about us. We are prophets. We just don't know it. Yes, we need to tap into it.
Just speak it out there and it shall become live.
Decree it and it shall come to pass.
Amen.
Thank you.
Patricia, dance to settle conflict. I love it. But you do. And if you think about it within the context of what Akin has said, it's absolutely perfect. Sophia says, above all things, get understanding. Or like I say, inner standing. Yes, so. Clive once again says, you are a real natural prophetess. Thank you so much. I appreciate that comment. Coming from you, Clive. I'm going to have to go check you out.
No,
Patricia adds, you are both.
the man is an artist. He's a mind-blowing artist.
Absolutely, I can see that. I can see that. Thank you for staying right through and holding us on a path with this discussion. You have been the backbone of it. Patricia says you are both preaching good. Akenem and Akin, it feels like church in here. My dear, every day should be church to a certain extent. Mamusa, thank you for joining us. Arinola, thank you for being there. Daring Paper says that the rise of the black race, then everything will fall into place. Ordain his mighty grace. Absolutely. Clive, me too. I am loving the music. The man was even singing to me earlier on. Did you hear him? The man in the mirror. So, hey, we've entertained you guys. We've given you some deep thinking, deep philosophy. We've taken you to the womb, the matrix of Africa. Please note that Wakanda is in all of us. Akin, can I give you a moment for a word here?
Yes, all I'd like to say to that, and thank you again for inviting me onto your show. I'm so happy I'm a part of this. I'd like to just say for everybody, you know, Clive, Daring People, this man, Daring People, the man has a practice of natural medicine. He can do in his practice things that the mainstream medical professionals cannot do. He has treated over 8,000 clients during his life, during his period of practice. These are very, very profound people who are in tune. Kofi Allen, as I said to you before, this man is a master, okay? He's an artist, he's a painter, he's a photographer, and he has done amazing works. And he's also a filmmaker, which is very, very special. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's joined us. All those people, I've seen your names. I can't go through all the names. You promised to support us. You have supported us. But now the question is, what are you going to do? What are we all going to do collectively to turn this into reality? I said on my page that this film is a prophecy. A prophecy, in order for it to be fulfilled, we can't cross our hands and just or legs and say we're waiting for it. We have to be active. So let's just get with it, people. I think we're going to have another show this time next week, or I don't know when, schedule something, because there's more that needs to be said and done.
Absolutely. And I think that perhaps the next program should look at where do we go from here. I mean, you have been challenged. Everyone that's been on this wall today, I do appreciate you being here, but you have been given a challenge. The gauntlet has been placed down by this, or thrown down by this movie. Now, if you haven't seen it, please go and see it. I'm going to give you a week to go and see it. And we will be back next Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Let's just, tentatively for that time to have a talk about this, maybe slightly later, so that more of you can come on board and, in case the weather is quite inclement. But I think we need to have that discussion where, having seen the film, you can contribute to this even more and let us dance, because as Black people, this is the way we communicate, so that we can actually start to look at ways forward. Because with most things, we spend a lot of time talking, Akin, and we talk. We can talk a fire, but we don't actually produce anything at the end of the day. And this program is not about the talk. It's about, okay, we've talked it. We've known what the problems are. We've decided on some solutions. Now it's allocation of tasks.
Yes,
now, for me, the first task is your own mindset as to how you visualize your own Blackness, how you visualize your positioning in this place. And, I have a friend called Ava, who reminded us what Steve said when he said, jump. It's time for us as a community. And I'm not just talking about here in England, I'm talking about all our communities in Africa, to jump and hold our leaders accountable to enable us to jump. And if they're not doing that, remove them. You heard it here, remove them. Because they are stumbling blocks for your life. How can you continue to live a life that you don't enjoy, being ruled by someone who isn't right to be there? you know, where you don't have the freedom of expression, the freedom to be Wakanda.
Yes.
Akin, thank you
They're
so
not just
much. Thank
holding
you,
us back.
everyone who has
They're
been here.
holding our brothers back, everybody back. They're holding all of diaspora
Yes,
back. Everybody.
yes.
Yes.
And I
Thank
mean,
you.
we've got to make a change in that country so that Ian can go back. Isn't
Of
that
course.
right? Just for Ian. We are doing this for you, Ian.
Ian needs to go back to his roots there.
Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely.
We need Ian
Imola,
in
thank you for
in the
joining us.
motherland.
Absolutely. Akin, we're going to bring this program to a close.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, ma'am.
It's been so much fun. And I hope that those of you who stayed the time with us have enjoyed it. And please feel free to continue to discuss, make your comments so that we... Yes, Ian. You see, we're thinking about you. He's just come on.
God bless him. God bless him.
Just for you, Ian. You know how much I love you. So please, do it for Ian. Somebody said, oh, Clive says it's been emotional. You know something? I was very emotional of that film. And I want to exercise some more of that emotion possibly next week. But I need encouragement. I need encouragement. So keep writing and telling me what you think. Go see the film. Come to my wall and tell me you need to have a discussion like this. Then I'll do it for you. And Clive says, I can't wait to sign up this show, global screening. Oh,
amen. Amen.
Clive,
amen. 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 Yeah.
It's been fun. I got the uniform, you know. I got my... I'm ready. Wakanda forever. Caroline, thank you for joining. So, Aki, it's been fun. It's been serious. It's been deep. It's been great. And I love the music that you played while we danced.
Hey.
That's who we are.
That's who we are.
Yep. Yep. We play the music.
Take care.
But you got to see this film, guys. It is good. And it is funny. And the accents are so appropriate. Niger, the rain there. Go see that thing. Bye. Good night, all. It's been great. My next show will be at 9 o'clock on Sunday. And I'll let you know what we'll be talking about very soon. Larry, thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, you're going to have to watch the repeat. Thank you so much, Caroline. You're very sweet. Clive, thank you for being there. Patricia, thank you so much. Your joy. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.